For more great content, make sure you follow 717 Sports Media on all your podcast listening platforms. Also follow us on social media, on Twitter at 717_sports, Facebook and Instagram at 717 Sports Media. We're also checking on our website daily for your daily news and sports videos at 717sportsmedia.com.
Okay. All right, hello everybody. Patrick Wider back for another episode of the Big Ten Football Show. We're back to the special episode of the Big Ten Football Show. It is Big Ten Realignment Talk. With me today to discuss this is my guy B-Way and my guy CJ Frederick. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well, doing real well.
Doing
Excited
well.
about the Big Ten.
I think Brandon foreshadowed this when he said he didn't believe in West Coast football. So now instead of having West Coast football, just bring West Coast football to the Big Ten. Let's go.
They know what's good for them, man. They know what's good for them. Come over here, try to get our players a little bit, take our money. It all works out for them.
Okay. In this episode of the Big Ten Football Show, guys, we will discuss USC and UCLA. They're joining the Big Ten. Oh, my Lord. I don't know if the Pac-12 is going to make it. And then we're going to talk about what's next for college football. So we'll talk about that. All right. So first, I'm going to throw some information. I'll throw some stuff at you guys, and then you guys tell me what you think, and I got some questions to discuss. When USC and UCLA joined the Big Ten in 2024, so they got 2 more seasons of the regular Big Ten, and then they'll join. They're saying the Big Ten will be at 16 teams. That's exactly where Texas and Oklahoma will be when they join. That's what the SEC will be when they get Texas and Oklahoma. Now, they won't join to 2025. So USC and UCLA is going to join a year earlier than even they did. So fascinating Big Ten, but you're going to have 16 teams.
It's going to be nuts.
Okay. The Big Ten expecting that their TV deal starting in 2023 will make annually over $1 billion. Each school could expect between $80 to $100 million per year just on TV. This is TV, straight TV money. What do you think of that? Money, B.
So I said the money. Follow the money. And I mean, I'm not going to say, like, West Coast does have some good athletes. So they're not going to steal all of our athletes, but they're going to get they're going to take some of our guys.
No, but like you're talking recruiting. Let's jump into recruiting. Recruiting works both ways. I think that the recruiting will help some of the Big Ten teams. Some of them are already in California, but the other ones that maybe they're not in California as much, this will help them to give them more exposure. And I'm sure, that you could see some of the schools, some of the areas, maybe Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Illinois, maybe some of those kids could go to USC, UCLA, so you could open that as well. So recruiting could go both ways for sure.
It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, UCLA against freaking Rutgers, it's going to be weird, but
has anybody seen the internet crying memes of Lincoln Riley and come November losing 7-3 at Northwestern? Like, because that's going to happen. That's going to happen. I can't wait.
Lincoln Riley went out there and probably thought that he was going to, it was going to be a little easier for him going against Pac-12 teams. Now he's trying to rebuild that program in one of the toughest conferences in America. Second toughest now.
Definitely.
And I agree. It's going to be fun to see. I think we're all looking forward to like USC, UCLA, those California boys coming out and playing in the cold and in the Midwest. Come play in Penn State or Ohio State or Indiana in November, December. October, November, let's see it, so it should be fascinating to watch, as far as the money, it was UCLA had to do it. UCLA was facing, the LA Times just reported it yesterday, we're facing over $100 million deficit from bad investments to bad coaching hires to they were looking at massive cuts of sports, massive cuts. Like they were talking about having to cut like 30% of their sports. So they had to do it. USC has not been happy for years with the Pac-12. Their TV deal is a joke. the Pac-12 network is barely on any networks out there. Like, it's a complete joke. It's a fiasco. Their old commissioner bungled that. And so they haven't been happy for years. There's been talk of USC for years about being an independent. So, they have a new AD, and the new AD obviously hired Lincoln Riley and spearheaded this. So I think it, financially it makes sense. It is a little weird, but I do think financially it's going to be a windfall for them. And go ahead.
I agree. It's going to be hard. UCLA was facing budget trouble now. Like, that's tough because you're in like one of the biggest marketing areas in the world, and you're still struggling to bring in money.
And I think they even have the Jordan brand as their like.
Oh,
like, I don't like, they fired a bunch of coaches like Jim Mora, and they fired a bunch of coaches, and they had to pay all these buyouts, and they had and then like the pandemic killed these sports. I mean, the pandemic everywhere lost like every sports program lost like 30 to 50 million a year that year, because there was less games, and there's no fans, and there's less TV revenue because there's less games. And remember, the Pac-12 barely played that year. They played like 4 or 5 games. Yeah. So it just killed them on top. They were already struggling, and that killed them. That's why Maryland joined the Big Ten. It was largely a financial thing. They were struggling financially, and Big Ten was such a cash cow. It bailed them out.
Yeah, nobody talks about how the Big Ten. Well, yeah, I know they haven't had a national title winner since 2014 in football, and it's been 20 years in basketball. But the Big Ten makes money. The Big Ten network has made money going back to pre-pandemic, to going back to the first recession back in 2007. The Big Ten is a cash cow, and that's not going to stop. What about? I mean, you're talking about UCLA though, not make money. Has USC struggled recently too, or are they still doing okay financially?
Financially, they're fine. USC just needed a real AD. They were trying to go Pat Hayden and Lynn Swan, like famous people. Like, dude, just go get a real AD, and that's what they did. They got the Cincinnati AD, who's been an AD all over the place. So they finally got a real AD, and they get a real head coach. So yeah, USC, it's just like, it's very similar to Texas and Oklahoma. Texas and Oklahoma have been for years a little ticked off of the Big 12. They were like, we're the big fish, we're the ones driving the boat, and we're not getting paid like we should. And USC's always been there, like, we're the ones. When you think of West Coast football, you think of USC, right? Reggie Bush, like Matt Leinart, Carroll. You think about all, student body right, student body left, right? I mean, the Trojan, the Trojan, right? I mean, you think of West Coast football, don't you think of USC? Is that the first thing that pops in your head? That's the first thing I think of.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go further back to the Keyshawn Johnson days and the Carson Palmers.
Oh, without a doubt, B.
Yeah,
without a doubt. So,
are those times ever coming back for USC though? Now that there's 2 professional football teams in Los Angeles, though.
And that's a very good question, and that's the other reason they wanted to be viable, because now they're going to be able to create more fun matchups. Now they get teams. Here's the other thing, like, people don't realize that the Big Ten has massive alumni. Penn State's a massive state school. Ohio State's a massive state school. Michigan's a pretty big school. So those alumni, they're spread throughout the country. They're going to be California. If you're a Michigan alumni and you live out in California, you get to go to the Coliseum, watch USC versus Michigan. I think it could create some fun some matchups. And then if you're from Pennsylvania, Ohio, I mean, that'd be fun to go. I mean, I want to go out there. I'd love to go out there. The Rose Bowl, watch UCLA, or that'd be a fun atmosphere. So I think it's going to create some fun, some buzz, and some fun atmospheres for them. I would, CJ, you're right, and they've always. I'm going back to what you said about the money. The money's always been a big thing with the Big Ten. Jim Delaney, their former AD, commissioner, was brilliant. He was always one step ahead of everybody, even the SEC. Even though the SEC's been better product in the field, the Big Ten even now makes more money than the SEC. Now that's set to change with them joining with the big deal they're going to get with ESPN. But then the Big Ten's probably going to lap them again with their new deal. But they've always done shorter deals. The Big Ten Network was the first network created, okay? And when they did that, nobody else ever did the thing. People thought they were idiots, and that's been a massive success. And then, like you always said, like, like you said, like the money is always there in the Big Ten, and it's really helped a lot of programs, like Maryland, who needed it, Rutgers, even though, I'm not a big Rutgers fan in the Big Ten, but it has helped them, even though it hasn't shown on the field much.
What does this do for college football in general?
Okay, we're gonna get that. Let me lay out a couple of things. Lots of people are really calling. So this is really interesting. Back in 2011, the LSU president said there are two superpowers going to run this thing in the next 20 years of college football. You know what he said? ESPN and Fox. And if you look at the Texas Oklahoma, you know who's the back channeling that? ESPN, because they own a lot of stake in the SEC. Do you know who's back channeling USC UCLA? Fox, because they own a lot of shares in Big Ten football. They own like part of the Big Ten network, and they own a lot of the rights, even though it's coming up, for bid. So that's the other thing. The Pac-12 was fighting for survival with this move. I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you guys see the Big 12 was talking to Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, and Washington about joining them? Now, what I saw, there's nothing imminent right now, but like there are discussions of the Big 12 is trying to poach those teams. What do you guys think?
We're going to have three big major conferences.
I think there's a good chance that you could turn into like three super conferences.
So it's a matter of, in time, them just picking teams from the ACC next. They're going to get Clemson. They're going to get Florida State.
Well, the debate, okay, but here's the problem. See, it all comes down to when your TV contract's up. And so the reason Oklahoma and Texas is not going to go join the SEC until 2025. Why? If they left early, they would cost them like $40 or $50 million in revenue. They don't want to do that. The Big 12's holding them. Okay. The reason why the big USC and UCLA can come in 24 is that's when the contract's up. So ACC gave up all their tier 1 rights, their TV rights, until 2036. If they would leave, they would owe $100 million. Now, I read a great article talking about how they could file a lawsuit to fight that. So I don't know. There's a lot of conjecture. Clemson and Florida State and Miami could be looking to go to the SEC. Like you could see maybe Florida State and Clemson, or Florida State, Miami go to the SEC, and then maybe Clemson and North Carolina come to the Big Ten. Like you could eventually see 22 teams in each one. From what I've read right now, it could change in 2 hours, is the Big Ten's happy. They're waiting at 16. They're going to get a massive deal from one of these TV networks. You know who the Big Ten waiting on? Notre Dame.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Where is Notre Dame on all of this? I mean, I know they still have the TV contract with NBC, and Notre Dame is Notre Dame. They're their own cash cow. But where do they sit as of right now on all this? Because I keep hearing different things about them too.
Well, Notre Dame has steadfastly said that they're going to stay independent, but it's going to reach a time where it's like financially, right now, if they joined the Big Ten, they would make an extra 20 or 30 million a year. Now they're Notre Dame, they have an endowment, they have millions of dollars, they have donors who give so much money to keep them independent. But at one point, if you're in the Big Ten, you can make 100 million, or you're doing your own TV deal for 50. Why wouldn't you join the Big Ten? But yeah. I don't know. I don't know when that is or if that is. So I think the Big Ten's happy right now at 16. I think could stay that for right now. Well, we don't know for sure. But yeah, you're right about Notre Dame. Yeah, sorry. And then now with the playoffs expanding probably in 2025, Notre Dame's probably fine, right? They can stay independent and still make the playoff.
You mean lose in the playoffs? That's what you mean about Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about making it, but yeah.
What about Oregon? They're their own cash cow. Why?
That's the other thing. Like that's the other one. Like Phil, there's lots of rumors about Phil Knight, and he's really frustrated, and he really wants them in the Big Ten. But everything I've read so far is the Big Ten has resisted taking Washington and Oregon. They're happy with 16.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Like everybody speculated, but like when this broke, it was imminent. The deal was done. Like they're coming in August 2nd, 2024. They're there. So nobody else has accepted it. So the other thing that's floating around right now is the ACC and Pac-12 are trying to make like not a merger, but like an agreement, like kind of like the alliance, but different. They would do a joint. They would take like the winner of the ACC and the winner of the Pac-12, and they do a championship game. And they might take the Pac-12 network, get rid of it, and then have the ACC network part of the Pac-12. Like do something. They're working on something. The Pac-12 is trying to, what's the Pac-10 now? Well,
what are they going to play for? The Sega Sports Bowl? It's going to be like 2 8-4 teams playing against one another. It could be so snarky right now with that.
I know, but they're all trying to hang into relevancy. It's like the Big 12 lost Texas and Oklahoma. They're going to eventually lose them, but then they went and got Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and BYU. Now, look, I don't think that's necessarily a championship level league, but it's going to be a fun league to watch. So they're all trying to like who's getting screwed right now is the middle class of college football. Like the teams are okay, like Iowa State and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's been a nice program with Gundy. Like those teams are getting kind of pinched because they're not the big brands of USC and Oklahoma and Texas, but they're still solid programs. Those are the people getting pinched. They're trying to survive for relevancy right now, not necessarily winning it all.
Yeah, I get it. It just seems right now the ACC, they better hope. I don't feel good about, Clemson had their run. They seem to be trending downwards. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but they better hope Miami is on. They seem like Miami might be coming back with Cristobal.
Oh, yeah. He's recruiting really well. He put a great staff together. Mario's done a great job there. They're coming for sure.
That would be huge for the ACC because, Miami's never won the ACC outright since they've joined. And they've had some good teams, but they haven't since they joined. They haven't won a championship there, and they better hope Cristobal's the answer.
Yeah, I think he is. He's done a great job there so far. So, all right. So let's just go. So here's some questions to ponder. All right. So here's the first one I'm gonna ask you guys. So and B, you asked it, but I'm gonna ask it, and I'll ask you. I'll start with B, and then I'll go to CJ. Is this good for college football? B.
You're asking me. I'm the historical, old school guy. No, it's not good. Like, we want to see USC versus Rutgers. Like, no, nobody wants to see that. Like, I don't know. Like, it was the Pac-12 represented the West Coast. Big Ten was more, Eastern, Midwest, which I still don't know how Ohio is Midwest, but that's another story. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just I'm a traditionalist, so all this change is just messing me up. So I say no.
Okay, I'll give you a second, CJ. But you think about it, in the last year, if you go back 365 days ago, what happened 365 days ago? Texas, Oklahoma left the Big 12. That leaked out. NIL started. Transfer portal became basically wide open. You've had more change in 1 year than you did the last 30 years prior to that. That's a lot of change in college football.
It's nuts right now. It's like the Wild West.
Don't forget about the NIL too. That's
what I mean. NIL started a year ago, right? So NIL, major conference realignment, and then you got transfer portal. So, hey, this is the NCAA's fault. B, for years they rested on their laurels. They didn't do anything. I read this great article a couple months ago. This guy at the NCAA, 10 years ago, predicted this. He's like, this is going to happen. You watch. NIL, transfer, realignment, it's coming down the road. And everybody's like, he got pushed out at the NCAA, dude. He was like everybody knew this was coming. NCAA screwed this up from the beginning. All right, CJ, I ask you the question. Is this good for college football?
Right now, I'm more leaning towards Brandon said. I'm kind of indifferent to it now, but you're actually right. I mean, it's just the reality. So you just got to get used to within the last year, the NIL, the transfer portal, Texas, Oklahoma, now, USC and UCLA all jumping ship. That's all happened this last year. The change is coming, and you just get used to it. Am I going to go watch USC Rutgers? No, I wasn't going to do that anyways. Maybe if my sons are asleep, I'll stay up to watch it. But no, I don't care for that. I'm all for the change if it's good.
There's college football and I'm watching, so I would watch USC.
And I'm a Big Ten. I'm a Big Ten fan. I'm a Penn State fan, but I love the Big Ten. I root for them. and all their bowl games, and I root for them in the NCAA tournament and college baseball too. So if it's good for them, it's good for me. So I'll go give it a thumbs up, even though I don't know what to expect when Lincoln Riley's choking in Northwestern come mid-November.
What's the Rose Bowl now?
That is one of the problems. Is the Rose Bowl could be gone.
It's done. Get rid of it.
Well, like what they got to do with the Rose Bowls, they got to make it a semi. It's got to be part of the playoff, and it's got to be guaranteed a semifinal.
That's another thing too with this change that you're talking about. What's happening more that I feel like is not getting talked about enough, especially in the last couple of years, is players opting out of bowl games. It's driving me nuts. I understand it, that's business standpoint.
Doesn't bother me.
But like, I mean, Ohio State played with like their freshman squad in that Rose Bowl game last year.
I loved it. I got to see Marvin Harrison. I was fine with it.
I mean, I don't know how much it's helping guys opting out. I mean, I get like if you're a top pick, yeah, sure. I mean, Saquon Barkley played and he was still number 2 pick. Everybody always conveniently forgets about that. That's another thing too that's coming. That's not going away. So like these lesser tier Sega Sports Bowl games, whatever they're called. Are they going to be relevant? I love bowl games, but are they just going to increase them more to have like teams backups playing them?
Well, the Rose Bowl is a casualty for sure. That's probably they got to make it a semifinal part of the playoff. So I'll tell you, I've said I agree. I think B makes some good points. I think you both make some good points. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's good for the sport, but I think it's probably been heading down this road for the last 10 years because the SEC and the Big Ten has kind of just separated themselves financially and then also on the field a little bit. I mean, the Pac-12 hasn't made the playoff in a while, and they've been really down for a while. The ACC has been good with Clemson, but outside of that, they've struggled. And then the Big 12 has struggled, outside of like Oklahoma. So yeah, it has been, a little bit of a struggle bus. So I'm not sure. I think you guys make some good points. Now, here's question number 2. How does this impact the college football playoff with expansion? It's probably going to 12 in 2025. So now 2024.
Why is it 12?
I'm about to say 12 is almost too many.
Well, the first 4 are going to get buys.
All right. Well, that's more money.
Everybody assumed it would go 8, and then
what got rejected this year? Was it 8 or 12? And almost got approved.
It got rejected. 12 got rejected. They a year ago, it was like a team of 80s were working on it secretly. They had a plan for 12, and they were trying to get it as early as 23. But a couple of things came in the way. The ACC and Big Ten actually voted against it, and like the ultimate boss move that the SEC's SEC's commissioner's like, who cares? We'll get 1 or 2 in. Like he's like, hey, we tried. He was like, matter of fact, well, whatever. And he thought it was good for sport to go 12. They couldn't agree. The other thing was the TV deal was if they would have opened it up in 23, they would have had to get it exclusively ESPN. When it opens up for bidding in 25, it's everybody's getting up on it. It's gonna be lots of money, and so everybody thinks in 12 it's gonna happen. 12 is gonna happen. Like there's enough consensus. Everybody thinks a 12-team playoff will happen in 2025.
Now I'm kind of like CJ with because it kind of makes every other bowl irrelevant almost. So it's especially if they go to 12. So I'm gonna see more kids probably opting out of playing. Like I'm not a fan of meaningless football games anyway. As an athlete, like you don't play football for fun.
But here's what the 12 is gonna do. 12 will make I'll give you an example. Pitt's a good example. In a 12-team playoff, they make the playoff. Everybody goes, yeah, they made the playoff. Do I think Pitt would have won it all last year? No. Maybe they win a playoff game. Everyone's like, yeah, it's going to turn in the NCAA tournament. When you make that, when you make that 12-team playoff, it's going to be like, we made it to the playoff. Like it's like it'd probably be like the equivalent of making the Sweet 16. People are going to be really excited. They're included. What that will create is less I think it will create less opt-outs. Because look at last year.
That's good, but what about the teams that don't get in again? Do they got to play in the Citrus Bowl?
Yes, but they're still going to play those games because they get it's like a free vacation, and they get extra practices, and they get get the swag bag. That still will exist.
Yeah, if I'm a
I
first
get it.
round
It's
pick,
gonna
I'm
be
not playing in that.
It's watered down now. I mean, if you're 6-6 and playing in the Birmingham Bowl, it's not like wow, we're in the Rose Bowl. I mean, it's already watered down. B. I don't know how much more it's going to be watered down, but when they created the 14 playoff, what it did is it created the whole sport. That's all it is. It's obsessed with the 14 playoff. 14. That's all they talk about, right? They don't, and so now all these teams feel left out. I personally don't know if it will change who wins it all, because I think that like Georgia was an elite team. They were great all year. They lost one game. They won a national championship. And I think that you're still going to have those elite teams like Georgia and Alabama and LSU a couple of years ago. You're going to have those elite teams. I think those teams will still win it all, but I think everybody will be included in the playoff, and everybody will sing kumbaya like, yeah, we're in the playoff. And I think it changes the dynamic.
So it makes more teams happy.
Makes more teams happy, makes more conferences happy. And everybody's like, is it going to open the door for more parity? In a way it does, but in this playoff scenario, if they would have had this from 2014 on, Ohio State would have made it every year. Penn State would have made it like, what, 3 or 4 times at least, right? 5 times maybe.
16 and 17 they would have made it. Probably 19 too.
So I mean, they're like, oh, we're gonna let more smaller schools in. Are you? I mean, like
that's my thing. Like if you go to 12, I think you almost have to give the AAC a bid.
Yeah, or Millersville could get in.
Well, the debate. Here's the other debate. The other debate was I forget exactly what it was, but they wanted 4 automatic qualify, the top 4 conferences with the records to get automatic those 4 bids, where the SEC said it should be the best 4 records. So I mean, I don't know how you can do it now when you have basically SEC and the Big Ten are like, kind of super conferences already. Like you had Texas and Oklahoma in there, they're pretty good. Now USC has been down, but if Lincoln Riley gets them rolling and they join the Big Ten, that's another quality team. So I don't know, but like if you look at the 12-team playoff now, I think the days of teams going undefeated are probably over. Like look at how much harder it's going to be to go undefeated in the regular season now when you add in harder teams in the SEC and the Big Ten, right?
Well, NIL deal is making it like it's getting recruits to go different places. So now Alabama and Georgia might not. I mean, they're still number 1 and 2 probably in this recruiting class, but other teams are going to start getting some good players. Like Miami.
There has been some of that. Now we'll see. I want to wait and see. I'm going to hold my breath on that, but there could be some of that. Like the Louisville right now has a 5-star running back committed, from Texas.
The Miami quarterback's getting $9 million or something.
That's not true though. See, if that's the thing that we don't know. There's a lot of rumors. Everybody said that. And then like a bunch of what I read is that wasn't true. That was Florida all pissed off and their boosters leaking he was getting $9 million. That's not true. I heard it was a lot less than that. Now I'm 100% for NIL, but I think the problem is I'm all right with like Bryce Young. Dude, you're a baller. You're gonna be a top 3 pick in the pack. Go get paid. But these kids in high school getting paid to go to nobody anticipated it'd be like this.
That's good nuts.
What about the current players like the Biletnikoff winner, Addison?
But again, that was largely refuted that he got that much money.
Was it is that why he left though? Because of the money? Like
nobody quite knows that, and we don't know. We don't know. But like this isn't like
you think about Addison. Is it a better football situation? I mean, doesn't Pitt have Daniels or Slovis coming in?
They got Slovis coming in.
And USC, yeah, they're going to be
Caleb Williams, man.
Good, but yeah, Caleb Williams is nice, and Riley, but
and now you got the best quarterback in the country throwing to the best receiver in the country.
Yeah, and they picked up Dye, the running back from Oregon.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Lincoln went big in the portal. If you look at like first year head coaches, like Lincoln went big in the portal, so did Brian Kelly. That roster was kind of nuts. A lot of them left, and there was a lot of upheaval with your boy O. So like Brian Kelly went deep into the portal. So him and Riley are like, they're thinking we got to turn this thing around quick. We don't got Long at LSU. We don't got Long at USC. So they both went portal heavy.
Well, talking to coaches now with this whole recruiting thing, they're only taking like 10 high school kids. Like some schools are breaking it down and taking 10 high school kids.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
10 transfer portal kids. And then that, it's dumbing down the high school rank, or it's getting harder for the high school kids to get scholarships. Why not take a kid coming from college already who's mature and knows what the system's like?
And you're seeing that's like the Penn State benefit. That's the receiver they got from it was Western Kentucky. Like you're seeing these
Mitchell
lower
Tinsley.
level, they're getting these lower level kids that they're blowing up the low level, and they're like, okay, I'll go transfer to a D1 school.
Well, yeah, I mean that Arnold Ebiketie, led the team in sacks. He was a second round pick. He was a transfer out of Temple. He wouldn't have gotten those looks if he didn't transfer to Penn State. So like there's that aspect to it too.
The lower level coaches are getting frustrated because they're developing these kids, and then after a year or two, they're transferring to have so like there is a lot of that. And like you're right. Like if you look at like Penn State, you look at Ohio State, they're in the Big Ten. Like they're still largely building their team on recruiting, getting 20 some kids, 20, 25 kids every recruiting class. But like Michigan State went like different way. Like I know Baylor went like there's some schools out there that are being more strategic and they're doing more like transfer portal stuff where they're taking a set amount. I mean, freaking look at Alabama. Alabama's best receiver last year was a transfer, and then they went and got probably one of the best running backs in the country. Nobody had heard about from Georgia Tech. He's going there. So transfer portal is crazy. You can fill a hole so easily.
If I'm a backup, I'm entering the transfer portal every year.
Does the transfer portal, do you think, ever come to high school football, or is that not going to happen?
No. Well, it's already exists to an extent.
It's a little less.
I mean, Philly and Pittsburgh are nuts, right? I mean, Philly, right? We talk about it, right?
Yeah, we've all talked about that too. But I'm saying like how it's like legal now, where Joe Schmo can just enter his name in the transfer portal and then
the school boundaries. Like you're always going to have school boundaries, and I don't think it would ever come to that. But
nobody polices it though. The PIAA is not really policing it here.
Right. What they got to do with the transfer portal, and they're working towards this, I think, is they got to pick like a set window. And they did it this year. After May 1st, you can't transfer. After May 1st, you cannot transfer. It was like May 1st was the deadline, like May 15th or something like that. After that, if you transferred to you could not play. You had to sit out a year. They got to put windows in there. They got to say like this and this time period. And so like I'm big proponent. Brandon knows I've been talking about this right for years. Like I'm big proponent transferring. I always thought the old system was messed up. You had to go sit out a year. And I always hated how college
coaches would try and dictate where kids could go. That drove me nuts.
Yep, it drove me nuts. And so I'm very pro player. But like here's a big picture issue. I didn't think we'd get to this, but I'm going to ask you guys. Would it be better if the Power 5 football, Power 5, I don't even know if there's Power 5, if the football, the big boy football, we know who they are, the Power 3, Power 5 will say, the old Power 5, okay, would it be better if they just broke off in the NCAA and did their own thing?
That's coming, isn't it?
I mean, everybody talks about it, but like, who's going to do it? Because it's like, it's always been, football's always kind of been this way. Each conference kind of dictates things, for a lot of things, but like the NCAA is worthless. Like NCAA, go be in charge of like track and lacrosse, like football.
Whoa!
You have no basis. What?
Double negative from Patrick. Double negative.
I'm saying like the NCAA has a place. Don't get me wrong, but they don't have a place in college football, in my opinion. Break out, let them, like they knew NIL. NIL's a freaking joke. They knew it was coming. California, Florida, states had laws allowing NIL. They knew it was coming for a year. What did they do? They didn't set up one thing. They let this happen. I'm not mad at the players. I'm not mad at the colleges. NCAA is a complete farce of a joke. For years, they knew NIL was coming and they didn't do anything. They knew transfers were coming for years. They didn't do anything. They're an incompetent organization. They don't even separate and do your own thing.
So just have all the college football teams govern themselves. Like they need a governing
No,
body.
they come together and they say, this is what we're going to have. And you come up with parameters for NIL. You come up with parameters for transfer portal. Let's be honest. Like, how many years have we heard rumors about NIL? And some of these kids been paid for years under the table. There's always an uncle. Barry Switzer said, there's always an uncle.
Yeah, well, college football always been a little dirty. I mean, you don't got to worry about that.
Always been a little dirty. Like Barry Switzer said when he left, I heard this other day on the podcast. When he left college coaching, he just said what killed him was recruiting. He just like hated it. He hated how dirty it was. He just got burnt out. And like that was in the 80s. You know, I think it's always been kind of like this, but now it's like a little more in the open. But all these rumors, like you said, the Miami kid, the Rashada kid, who knows? Maybe he's getting 15 million. Maybe he's getting one. Maybe he's getting, nobody knows for sure because it's not public. It's all rumors and hearsay. Addison kid, I don't know. Maybe he's getting 20 million. Nobody knows because it's all rumors and hearsay. So, like, I think there needs to be separate from the bit there. They come up with their own parameter. Gene Smith, Ohio State AD, said this. There's other ADs who said this. They need to separate from the NCAA, do their own thing. I don't know when it will happen or if it will happen, but that's what I think. All right, so let me ask you two. Let me ask you guys. What do you guys think? This is a Big Ten show. What do you guys think? I'll start with you, CJ. What do you think of this impact? USC UCLA joining the Big Ten. What do you think of that impact on Penn State? Do you like it as a Penn State fan? Do you think this hurts or helps Penn State?
I think it helps them. I don't, as a Penn State fan, I'm not like when I saw it. I was, I got a couple of my Penn State friends, already planning road trips to possibly to the Coliseum that watched them whip Chip Kelly's ass if he's still there. So that would be a lot of fun. I don't know unless they add on more teams besides obviously the financial part, but these athletes going to USC and UCLA, they're going to have to split this up in the pods instead of the Big Ten East and the West, and add a couple more teams to make it a little bit more fair. Because USC, these guys are going to have like 12 these noon kickoffs. They're going to be playing at 9 a.m. They're going. That they complain about it now. Like what? Is that not going to be a huge advantage for the Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigans?
I don't know. Oregon came to Ohio State and kicked the shit out of us, and it was 9 o'clock their time. So I don't know. These kids adjust. I think. I
guess that's true. I guess they are adjusting.
So much for LCTV, guys. You guys are.
Oh, what'd I say?
What did I say? No, it's him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You didn't want it on LCTV. You were complaining about the Zoom. How we look in the Zoom.
You can edit that out.
It don't matter. Keep going. You guys are sharing your frustrations.
No, I'm not frustrated.
I'm not frustrated. I'm just saying.
I hope it gets Chip Kelly fired. He's the worst coach ever, but whatever.
He's a good college coach.
He's okay. He's fine.
What he did for the Eagles will never be forgive.
Never. You don't cut Deshaun Jackson for no reason and trade LaShawn McCoy for one of your favorite college linebackers. Screw Chip Kelly. That should be the name of this new podcast.
Okay, B, what do you think? You're a Penn State guy. You played there for a year. You're Penn State. You think it hurts Penn State? Do you like this? What?
So how's it going to be? Is it going to be like a Big Ten East, a Big Ten West?
We don't know.
Yet?
We don't know.
I like it from the standpoint of these kids get to go out and travel, and they get to go out to LA and play some games now. But I don't know if USC can turn it on and be like the USC of Pete Carroll's era. It'll be fun to watch as a fan, and then we can really compete for the best conference in America. So
it's funny we're talking about USC. Did you guys watch the 30 for 30 a couple years ago on the Trojan War when USC was at its apex?
Yeah,
with Liner and Reggie Bush. It's really good. It's really well done. I wish they would have gotten Reggie Bush to talk because he was, maybe their best player, but but it's really good. But Matt Liner talks about that team. It was a perfect storm because they didn't have the two NFL teams. It was before their hockey team got really good. It's before the Dodgers went on a run. So I don't know, as much as I like Lincoln Riley there and Caleb Williams is awesome, Addison is awesome. That running back could be really good. I don't know if we'll ever see another USC run like that. I'm not. That remains to be seen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get to that level, but I think that he can get back to like what they were at Oklahoma. I think they could be like a consistent 9, 10, 11 win team. And I think that, somebody said this, USC is kind of like, it's an SEC school in a way. Like people love USC football, and they've been apathetic for so long because they've just been so bad ever since Pete Carroll left. I mean, Sark wasn't very good either. Everybody like Sark at Texas, they were all loving him, but like he wasn't that good at USC. He was only there 2 years, but like Lane wasn't good, Sark wasn't good, Helton wasn't good. Like they went through like disaster coaches. Now Lincoln Riley, I think, will do a good job there. Now, will he get back to? I don't know if they'll ever get back to that Pete Carroll level. That's like when Saban leaves Alabama, they're never going to get back to that level ever. I just don't believe it. I mean, Saban's like the greatest coach ever. But you're right. Pete Carroll was like a perfect time. The Pac-12 was a little down. He came into an ideal situation. They were down, and he just capped. Another thing too, CJ, is back then, like Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, like these schools weren't going out in California and getting these kids. They're all getting those kids now. Those kids are coming east.
And it was before the SEC's really last 20 years run of dominance too.
Right. So I don't know if they're, but I think he'll get them back. They'll be better than what they are. Like Lincoln Riley is a good coach, and he understands how to develop quarterbacks and wide receivers, and he knows how to run the ball, pair it with his passing game. I think this year they won't be necessarily great. I think they're probably like 7, 8 wins, but I think the following year they could be better.
What year will Williams be? How many? When can he come out for the draft?
2 more.
Okay, so he'll look good.
These guys stay for 10, 20 years now. It don't even matter.
What?
These guys stay for 10 or 20 years now. It don't even matter. These guys be in college forever.
I'm saying if he can come out next year, and if Jalen Hurts, my guy, flops, he'll look good in Eagle Green.
Well, he's got 2. He was a true freshman last year. Remember, he wasn't even supposed to play. What's his name? Spencer Rattler was supposed to play. They benched him, and then Caleb Butler, so Caleb Williams was a true freshman. So he's got this year and next year. So
he's awesome. He's legit.
Caleb Williams, I think he's good. Yeah, for sure. He's got to, show some more passing, but I think he'll take a step. I wouldn't be surprised if he took a step this year for sure.
Where's Rattler at right now?
He's
South Carolina, the Gamecocks. They're going to be good.
Beamer, nice job.
Our guy Brubaker's down there too.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. How do you guys think? The last question I have, and then I'm going to get into the wider plan. How does this impact Big Ten football rivalries? What do you guys think? Like, do you think will this impact any of the big rivalries, or you think they'll make sure they keep it intact?
I think, because I keep seeing this, I think you mentioned it too, Patrick. It's if they go to these pods that they're talking about, which I think has to happen, then the rivalries they won't happen every year, like Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan.
I think they keep those games though.
Do they? I mean,
well, because like TV wise, the biggest rated game every year is Ohio State, Michigan. So they're not going to Fox would destroy the Big Ten, See, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm a nut and I cover this stuff. I look up this stuff, but Fox and ESPN own rights to the Big Ten. Fox has the first rights over the Big Ten. They do a draft, CJ. They draft weekends. And the first weekend is always Ohio State, Michigan. Who gets a pick? Fox always picks that game because it's so highly rated. So they're not going to get rid of Ohio State, Michigan. I just think maybe some of the secondary rivalries could go away. I don't know. But
what about Maryland, Towson? Will that go away?
I don't know.
No, Towson would be taking over as the top school in Maryland. So
there you go. There you go.
So, all right, let me just go to this. Let's go to the wider plan. Here's my wider plan, the Big Ten pod. Okay? Big Ten pod. So here's what I came up with. I'll share each. So I made up 4 divisions, 16 teams, 4 divisions each, 4 pods each. So what you do is you play your 3 teams in there. Then you have a rivalry game outside the pod. Then you rotate because let's just say they keep 9 games. The Big Ten's had 9 games. So that they're probably going to keep 9 games. So if you play 3 in your pod, you have 1 rivalry, that's 4, and then you play 5, you rotate through. So you can rotate through everybody, every couple of years, you're going to play everybody. So that's my plan. So here's the Big Ten East. It'd be OSU, Rutgers, Penn State, Maryland. What do you guys think? That all right for a pod?
OSU, Rutgers, Penn State, Maryland.
It's the Big Ten East.
Okay.
What do you think, CJ?
Is this the wider plan, or is this your speech to take over Kevin Warren's position as the Big Ten commissioner?
No, this is my plan for the pods.
No, the pods have to happen, right? Am I wrong on this or not?
Well, okay. So what happened was when Oklahoma and I have not seen this with the Big Ten yet, but when Oklahoma and Texas joined, everybody theorized you got to do the pods. 16 is too many to do 2 divisions. You do four pods, and then what you do is the best 2 records at the end play. So everybody plays 9 games at the end. The best 2 teams with the best 2 records play each other. Because if you look at the Big Ten, right now, the East has won every Big Ten title game. I don't think the West has won one. If you go regular
season, didn't Wilson win it that one year he was at Wisconsin? That might be the only time.
Yeah, maybe once.
They've gone to that point.
Yeah. So that's Big Ten East. The Big Ten Upper Midwest would be Indiana, Michigan State, Purdue, Michigan. So you keep Michigan State together, and then you have Indiana, Purdue. So that's the Upper Midwest. Then the Big Ten Midwest would be Northwestern, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa. That's I'm gonna slam you and run offense, slobber knocker football.
Can we send Oregon out or not? Can we trade Nebraska for Oregon? Like get Nebraska out of the Big Ten?
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Sorry,
okay.
Andy Herr, if you're listening.
And then the Big Ten West: Wisconsin, Minnesota, USC, UCLA. So that was kind of what I came up with. Like, I think it will be similar to this. I think the Big Ten will do something similar to this. So what do you guys think? You think that's the best way to do a pod system like that?
It has to be. What was the last one you said? UCLA, USC, and who?
Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Dang.
I just want to see USC playing in Wisconsin.
They're going to have to. In
November.
So how would you dictate a champion?
The best 2 records. So everybody plays. You play in your pod 3 games. So let's say the Big Ten East. Ohio State would play Rutgers, Penn State, Maryland every year. Then outside that, they would each get designated a rival. Ohio State's obviously would be Michigan. Penn State's would probably be Michigan State because they've got the land grant. I know CJ loves that. And then so that then you rotate. You have 5 other games. Then you rotate through that by just randomly rotating through it. So like theoretically, OSU then plays Northwestern, Wisconsin, Minnesota, USC, and Purdue one year. Then they rotate. Everybody rotates through it, and then you just do a standings. Whoever after 9 games, whoever has the best 2 records, they play in the Big Ten championship.
It's something like that has to happen.
Yeah, because I know at the SEC they were debating, but they were like, you got to put Texas and Texas A&M in the same pot.
It just feels like with that, USC is going to be like on the verge of getting to the title game. They're going to have to play at Minnesota with row the boat, PJ Flex squad, and they're going to freeze to death and lose 10-7. Lincoln Riley's going to, freeze on the sideline or get hypothermia or something. So that just seems like it's going to happen. I should stop taking shots at him. I like Lincoln Riley. Chip Kelly can freeze it then. Yeah, that's all right.
I was about to say, you are killing Lincoln Riley here.
I know. I don't know why I'm doing that. I actually
so when UCLA comes to the Penn State, are you going to be like going there, boo Chip, because of the Philly?
He won't even be employed there by then. So I'll boo whoever the coach is.
We'll see.
He actually did it. He actually does have UCLA.
He's done better the last couple of years, but I understand, and you kind of destroyed your football team for a couple of years. I get it.
Kind of.
I'm still recovering.
What a Super Bowl! Was he that bad? He was 10-6, 10-6, 6-9.
The problem was once teams figured out his offense, and then his defense was on the field the whole game, and he had control over personnel, or he was trying to recruit all of his Oregon guys.
Fault, though.
No doubt, but he just messed things up. You don't cut an all world receiver into Deshaun Jackson, because you don't like him. This isn't Oregon. This isn't college football. It's the NFL. You don't have a guy like Deshaun Jackson. You don't trade LaShawn McCoy for one of your crappy linebackers that played for you at Oregon. You just don't do those things. There's reasons he'll never be an NFL coach again.
Well, he shouldn't. He's a horrible fit. I've always said he was a horrible fit, just like I said Urban Meyer was a horrible fit. These guys are different people. They're just not. I mean, Urban Meyer's whole career was built on recruiting 5-stars, and then like rallying and being an a-hole to the 18 to 22-year-olds. Like that doesn't work in the NFL. And Chip Kelly's whole idea is like they did. I was watching their film. They do a lot of different things at UCLA than he did at USC. A lot more pin and pull line. Like it's a different type of offense he ran at Oregon. So anyways, here he is. Let's go Chip Kelly at Oregon. 10-3, lost in the Rose Bowl. 12-1, lost in the BCS National Championship. 12-2, lost in the Rose Bowl. 12-1, he won the Rose Bowl. 12-1, won the Fiesta Bowl. 46-7. UCLA 3-9, 4-8, 3-4, 8-4. Now, to be fair, the cupboard was a little bare there when he got there, but yeah.
They have that quarterback, Thompson, Dorial Green.
He's coming back.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah. He's been there for 18 years. Him and Clifford could like do a house party for how long they've been there. He's been there forever. Thompson's been there forever. He came back for a COVID year this year.
I'm telling you, man, you can't keep up. These guys are all over the place, and they've been there forever. Penn State guys going on his 7th year.
There's guys in the transfer portal that have entered like 2 or 3 times. Like the Penix kid, who was really good 2 years ago at Indiana, is like I think an Ole Miss now. That's his third. That's the third time he's transferred.
These guys are like NBA guys, NFL guys. They're suiting up for different teams every year.
Well, your boy Clifford's the biggest example.
At least he didn't transfer, but yeah. I mean, I get why he stayed. He's just trying to collect as much NIL money as possible because he probably won't be drafted next year.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's played 4 years at UCLA. He'll play next year too.
See, he might get drafted. I can see why he stayed.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah. Well, don't you remember that they were? Who they had? They had one of those good quarterbacks, the UCF quarterback, who's now he went to Oklahoma instead. He was all set to go there, and Robinson was probably going to go. Thompson-Robinson could go pro, and then that kid at the last second decided to go to Oklahoma. What is his name? He was at UCF. He was a baller.
Melton? That's not Melton, is it?
Yeah.
Mackenzie Melton?
Mackenzie Melton. Very good job, CJ. Yes. So, all right, guys. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think what's next? Does Oregon and Washington go somewhere?
What was it? Oregon and Washington. Oregon got to go somewhere. They got somebody wants that money.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Oregon and Washington are kind of like a package deal the way USC, UCLA. Because, like, if you look at Washington, they made the playoff in 2014. I know they've had some downtime here, but, like, they're in Seattle. They're in a major market. Like, they've had some teams over the last 30 years where they've been decent. That's
Chris Peterson did a heck of a job. They've been struggling since he left.
Well, he stepped down and Jimmy Lake took over for 2 years. And Jimmy Lake
that was a disaster.
They fired him after 2 years.
Who's the new coach now?
They hired the guy from Fresno State. He's been around forever. What is his name?
Not Tepper, no.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on his name. Or Kalen DeBoer. So he is very well respected as a coach.
Okay.
But we don't know. Like, look at Kalen DeBoer he was at Fresno for 2 years. Prior to that, Indiana's OC. Prior to that, Fresno State's OC. So, he was 3-3 and 9-3 at Fresno State. 12-6 overall, 2 years. I don't know. I've heard a lot of great things about him. The Washington State thing is kind of crazy. Washington State fired their coach because the guy refused to get a vaccine, and they promoted their DC. DC went and got a quarterback that people think is like unreal. He was at Incarnate Ward down in Texas. Him and the OC went to Washington State. The OC and the quarterback went to Washington State.
Jesus.
SEC package deal sometimes.
So I'm saying it's a different world, man.
It's a different world. So what's next? So you guys think maybe Oregon will go somewhere? I don't know if the SEC responds. I think like I said, the ACC, Pac-12 are working. See, right now you have out there the ACC and Pac-12 are trying to work on a collaboration, and the Big 12, who just got a new commissioner, they're trying to get Colorado, Utah, Arizona State, Washington, and Oregon. So that's not imminent. That could happen in the next couple of weeks, month. I don't know. And the Pac-12's Pac-10's trying to survive. The Pac-10 could get Fresno State and San Diego State to join, but that doesn't move the needle like USC, right?
So we'll have a Pac-4. A Big 4.
Well, those teams, those 6, it's all about the Pac-12 is all about trying to keep Oregon and Washington. So they're trying, and Phil Knight's trying to angle to get to the Big 10, and the Big 10's kind of neglecting it from what I've been reading. They don't want Oregon, I guess. They're happy with, at some point you think like you're kind of happy because you got 16 teams and everybody can make some good money and go home. Like you get to like 20, how much value, you know what I mean? But I don't know. The SEC, let's say the SEC went and grabbed Florida State, Miami. I guarantee the Big Ten's going to respond. Like, right?
Yeah, man, that's what it seems to be.
I mean, what if the SEC gets to 20? The Big Ten's going to respond and try to get to 20. Like you could see like Oregon, Washington join the Big Ten. Then you could see like North Carolina or the Virginia schools, Virginia Tech, maybe Pitt, maybe West Virginia. I don't know.
The ACC is in a good situation because they're the best basketball conference still.
They are.
Basketball don't move the weight like football.
They have a gift and a curse. Their TV deals until 2036, so that prevents teams from leaving because they have to hold that money. But then they're so far behind financially, the Big Ten and SEC. Their TV deal is a joke, but it's still a good basketball conference. Basketball only accounts for about 20%. Football steers this. They'll be 80% of the revenue. College basketball
I feel like you can't have Duke and Carolina not in the same conference. I feel like it's just.
Hey, football steers it, man. 80% of it. But I agree with that. Yeah, you can't have Duke and Duke isn't a big product for football. They don't add any value for football.
Not at all.
Okay. All right, let's wrap it up. Let me give a shout out to our sponsor real quick, B. All right, great people. If you want to fix your credit but don't know how to start, check out the Credit Channel. They can help you fix your mistakes without breaking the bank. The Credit Channel saw a real need to provide quality, affordable credit repair to help people need it because your credit shouldn't be a financial struggle. For more information to get started, visit the Credit Channel online at www.creditscorematter247.com. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Big Ten football show. We'll be back in the fall, about a month away. Football's coming.
Can I ask a non-Big Ten question?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Arch Manning, whatever his name is, going to Texas?
I was shocked. I thought he would go to Georgia or Alabama, but I think that it makes sense. They've got 9 recruits since he committed. They have now the number 3 class in the nation.
Sark the Shark. That's been his his reputation as a great recruiter.
Sark's got to prove a lot.
Head coach.
I think Sark's got to prove a lot as a coach.
No, I know, but going back to when he was assistant at USC, isn't that what he was known for as a pit bull recruiter?
Yeah,
I read about 5 articles on it, and they thought that staff was very genuine and they're just very like laid back. They never pushed it. And Arch fell in love with it.
They said that he built that relationship with him when he was at Alabama.
So I haven't seen film on this kid yet. Is he? And I'm just being honest. Is he like as good as his uncles?
If his name was Arch Smith, he'd be a 5-star prospect. He's more. He's not like Peyton and Eli. He's more like his dad. His grandfather, Archie. He's a runner.
That's awesome too.
He's a runner. He's more of a runner. He's not like a pocket guy. Like he can run a little bit. He's an athlete. Like he can run more than his 2 uncles, because Peyton and Eli were stiffs in the pocket.
But his dad was a good receiver.
His dad was a good receiver.
Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, he was an awesome receiver. Peyton talks about it. Did he get hurt in high school or college?
No, college. He had spinal problems.
Yeah, because he was
He had to retire in college.
I heard Peyton talking about him a few times. It's Cooper, right?
Yeah, Cooper. But like, Quinn Ewers is there. He's still pretty good too, and I think he's probably gonna win the job. Like
this coming year.
I think Arch could sit a year. People think that's crazy, but Quinn could come in and he could start for 2 years, then he can go to the pros, and then Arch could take over.
Weird.
It don't matter. You can just transfer.
That's what he did already. He collected his NIL at Ohio State and he left. He took one snap and peaced out.
That's what these guys did.
I saw it. He took 2 snaps.
I'm gonna send you guys a video on Arch Manning, and you guys can. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but like I think there's a chance he goes and sits a year. Like I really believe that. I mean, if Ewers plays well this year, now, if Ewers plays really well, Arch could beat him out, and then Ewers transfers again. I mean, it's not uncommon. These quarterbacks transfer 2-3 times. That's not uncommon for these guys to transfer.
I think Tate Martell just enrolled at Millersville this week. You guys remember?
Remember Tate was Tater Tot.
He's on year 8 right now.
Tater Tot. He's done. He gave up college football.
Yeah, he retired, right?
He went from Ohio State to Miami to UNLV, and then he retired.
Jeez.
Good riddance.
Tater Tot.
Saw that he was overrated. I saw that when that QB1 show. I knew he was overrated.
Like, people think Tate Martell is Quinn Ewers. I don't think so. Quinn Ewers is good, man. He can sling it. He's a good player. He just went, like, he should have stayed in high school. That was pretty, he won the NIL money, and he was barely at Ohio State. He got there in August. He was gone in November.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch in the PSAC in 2 years. He'll be good.
How crazy is that, B? He was there in August. He's gone in November.
So weird.
And then people were like, "Oh, he's going to start." I'm like, "He's not going to start over C.J. Stroud." What are you talking about?
No, C.J. Stroud is going to be. Him and Bryce Young are going to be the top 2 picks this year.
Yeah, well, Anderson too at the end.
Well, Anderson, yeah, but the top 2 quarterbacks anyway.
Oh, guess who I heard? Will Levis, man. People are loving Will Levis too. He could blow up. I don't think he goes above Young or Stroud, but they're saying Will Levis could be a top 10 pick.
I don't understand that. I love Will Levis.
Oh, because today on a podcast I heard a guy who's like, he's huge, he can run, he's like Josh Allen type, and he's got like a legit, very accurate arm.
Well, when your Browns draft him next year, have fun.
Well, the Browns don't have.
Oh, wait, they can't because they don't have any first-round picks.
All right. This is a college football podcast. All right, we're gonna get Deshaun Watson. We're gonna B-Way's boy back. Hey, I think he's only get about 6 games, so we're good. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap it up. We'll be back in about a month. We're not that far away. Football's almost here, guys.
Almost here.
Almost there. Right, can't wait.
Thank you for listening. Check our stuff out. We'll have something in about a month from now with the Big Ten podcast.